At Tuesday's House Democratic Leadership press briefing, caucus leader Hakeem Jeffries was asked about Democrats' poor showing in his state of New York. Thanks to an unusually strong showing by Republican gubernatorial candidate Lee Zeldin, Empire State Republicans flipped several House seats. Those gains may end up delivering the Republicans a slim control of the House of Representatives. Jeffries, who is the top New York Democrat in the House, gave his take on the unusual strength of New York Republicans in the midterms.
You talked about how last Tuesday Democrats overperformed their expectations, but one place that Republicans were able to see some gains was in your home state of New York. It looks like the House majority is going to come down to a handful of seats. What do you make of the fact that those split seats in New York really could have been majority makers for Democrats, and why did that happen in New York?
Yeah, we'll see what the final margin is. As I indicated, we still have a pathway to 218, but I do think some of the conversations that are happening in New York right now are going to be important. I've suggested that there should be an after-action analysis with a focus on the state Democratic Party, a focus on some of the statewide campaigns, and try to figure out what happened in Long Island, what happened in the Hudson Valley. More importantly, how do we fix it? Assess the situation, but don't agonize, organize, and prepare for what comes next.
Donald Trump is likely going to announce that he's running for president. Do you want Joe Biden to be the Democrat who runs against him in this upcoming cycle?
Joe Biden is a big and clear winner. Everyone said that President Biden's agenda is too ambitious. He wasn't elected to do all of these things. The American people will reject it. Everything that we've done is incredibly popular. And our frontliners ran on that policy agenda, and so did our candidates. Why shouldn't Joe Biden? He said he's going to make a decision over the next few months. I'm hopeful that President Biden will seek re-election, and I look forward to strongly supporting him. Okay. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I know you don't want to entertain the idea of being in the minority, but there also is a strong pathway for Republicans.
Yeah, this is definitely a Pete Aguilar question right here.
I do want to ask, Republicans have more or less said publicly, definitely privately, that they will need your help to pass a number of must-pass legislation next term if they are in the majority. Have you had Republicans reach out to you in recent days to try and forge relationships? Are you open to forging those relationships? And should the caucus be open to working across the aisle?
I think Speaker Pelosi has always made clear, and the leadership within the House, every single member of the House Democratic Caucus, some of our accomplishments that have been extraordinary during the current 117th Congress have been bipartisan in nature. We've consistently indicated a willingness to work with Republicans to get big things done. In fact, that was the case going back to the prior presidency. We worked with the administration to get the First Step Act done under a Republican House, Senate, and a Republican presidency to strike a blow for criminal justice reform in a way that brought both sides of the aisle together. We worked together with Republicans to pass the U.S., Mexico, Canada trade agreement on President Trump's signature political issue. But we worked with him because we understood it was the right thing to do for America, for organized labor, for working class and middle class folks. And so I think our track record speaks for itself. We are always guided by doing the right thing for the American people.
I think that's the metric of this caucus is, does the policy help our communities and does it help our country? As the chairman mentioned, his own leadership on the First Step Act, the work that we have done in prior administrations, I think should speak for itself. I personally led some efforts to solve DACA when Republicans were in control, joined with Republicans who supported a discharge petition to force bills to the floor so we can have resolution on this. I think 19 Republicans joined a discharge petition against their own leadership to do it. So we've got, relationships and we can have conversations with individuals across the aisle when the policy is right and when the policy matters. But if Republicans are going to engage in the continued extremism that we've seen over the past few years, then I don't know if there's, an appetite. The policy is going to have to dictate that, but they're going to have to work to silence their extreme voices within their own caucus when it comes to achieving results for the American people. Because when it comes to the infrastructure bill, when it comes to these big pieces of legislation, those have always been bipartisan, and we hope that there are bills in the future that meet that threshold. But I don't know if this leadership on the other side of the aisle can string together enough willing participants to do that. But we're going to hold out hope because the American people want us to work together. I think that was a resounding message from last week, and we're always going to hold out hope that this new Congress can operate in that same way.
Go back to this side. Yeah.
In the wake of the attack on Paul Pelosi a couple weeks ago, I'm wondering what